I remember there was different parts of kind of emotion that came up during that time. And I think one of the emotions that came out was a sense of helplessness, right? Because I remember the time they were doing subsidies as well. And I remember nightlife not being in any of the subsidies. And I was thinking to myself, like, why were we the first one to close and most likely be the last one to open, but we are not, part of this subsidy scheme, this job support scheme, right? And I felt that was, very, very unfair, and you're kind of like rallying and going, why is this happening to us, in Zouk? But then you kind of, and I remember like kind of being at home and this was during circuit breaker and you're kind of like trying to replay these feelings in your head and realizing, but then you kind of snap out of it a little because you start looking at the much broader perspective of the world in general, and you realize that there are people in much, much, much worse situations, industries in much, much worse situations, like, countries in much, much worse situations. And there was a turning point there where we realized that, we do need to help ourselves in a way. It's not just about relying on the government to kind of, of course they didn't end up helping us a lot, but we had to kind of show them that we can innovate past this, right? And I remember calling my, my CFO at the time and also my legal, and I said, guys, the first pivot was really changing capital from a club into a restaurant, and that actually happened. We went there very, very early. So obviously now everyone's doing it, right? But I think we were almost like a week or 2 weeks into circuit breaker, and I gave them a call and I said, look, I don't think nightlife is going to open anytime soon, right? I mean, I think a lot of my team were thinking that we're going to open it like in June or something like that. And I said, look, it's not going to happen. The way things are going, the way the rhetoric from the government is happening, they're going to see this as, the industry they want to open last, right? Not the one they're going to open first. But I do feel that the F&B industry is going to have to open sooner rather than later because people cannot I don't think they're going to be, all the restaurant industry is a massive, much more big industry than nightlife, but it's also kind of a staple that people need to be able to go out and eat because not everyone can cook at home, right? So I said to him, is there a way that we can actually try to convert Capital Club Lounge into a restaurant? And we were kind of brainstorming, and then I think Alex, my CFO, said, oh, maybe we can just extend our kitchen down in Redtail up into Capital, right? And I said, that's a great idea. Let's see if we can do that. And then, then the cogs started working, right? And then, the team kind of went out there and they started speaking to authorities. And trust me, at the beginning, it was extremely difficult because, the authorities had much more bigger worries in their mind than to hear about Zouk, the nightclub trying to pivot into a restaurant, right? But I think, we are Zouk and we do have some, clout, and we were trying to show them that we are trying to do something different. We want to survive past this. We want to innovate. And they kept saying, the government saying that they want us to adapt as well. So, after jumping through a lot of hoops, having to kind of, add people on LinkedIn and stuff, I was basically, my team executed flawlessly, right? I mean, I have to admit that during that time, all the strategies that, we came up, they really did an amazing job executing. I was more behind the scenes, giving support and trying to work with the authorities to kind of jump through some of these loopholes because, sometimes the team would come back and say, this ministry, we haven't heard from this ministry, I haven't heard that ministry. And I said, let me see what I can do right now. Try to go and speak to, the CEO of that ministry. And I wouldn't know them, to be honest. I would just, message them on like LinkedIn and be like, look, is it possible we can have some help? We're not trying to do anything different. We're not trying to do anything kind of strange here. We just want to basically make sure that we have some revenue streams, through this tough time. And actually each pivot that we did kind of, in some ways, either grew from an original idea or they came from just the success from the last idea, right? And I think, that was
a very step-by-step sort of approach as well, right?
It was, and then the restaurant, we opened the restaurant and everyone was like, really excited about the restaurant. We were thinking, let's, and then one of my team was like, oh, let's make the whole of Zouk into a restaurant. I was like, no, guys, we can't make the whole of Zouk restaurant. That'll be like the biggest restaurant in Singapore, right? And we don't have a kitchen. We have the smallest kitchen in Singapore. So,
right. And then I love the hook of nostalgia, right? Because, you found a little tenant there and you built on that. And then that's where the cinema concept came about as well.
Yeah. So the cinema, I mean, the spinning concept came about because I was in quite a lot of business federation meetings, and I realized the fitness industry was also, going through a really hard time as well, because they just couldn't get people, because you have to kind of book your time, just people couldn't go to the gym, right? So I said to, there might be a way maybe we can work together with some of these fitness industries to see if we can do something special, right? And, we had an idea of partnering with one of these gyms to basically come up with a spinning experience, right? And by the end of it,
I saw that Ben Yap loves that, because he gets to work out every day now. Just joking.
I mean, maybe like once a month. And
right.
But
right.
No, but he's.
If you don't mind me asking, how do you choose your partners, right? Because there's so many fitness brands out there who would love the support of Zouk. Was it a matter of fastest fingers first, and also the fact that maybe this brand Absolute Cycle, they had a tech platform which they could do to manage the bookings, so it's quite easy and seamless that Zouk came in as a venue partner, right? I'm just assuming that they probably handled quite a bit of the back end bookings and logistics as well, submits the process to you. Is that kind of what happens?
Yeah, it's definitely a combination of things. I mean, when we look at it obviously from a P&L perspective, right? So they will come up, and because we had 4 studios, I guess, vying to kind of work with us, and each one will have their own pitch, right? And we looked at the financials, we looked at their customer demographic, they would look at their brand, we would look at their instructors, they looked at the management team. So all these were taken into account before we chose Absolute. And to be honest, we've been extremely happy with them. It's been a great partnership, and we have almost like over 500 people spinning every day, which is a huge different demographic than we've ever had before,
right.
In terms of fitness, right? And then I guess the cinema as well, I guess, came about because we have this amazing screen, right? And we thought, why don't we kind of complement all the different touch points for the cinema together, right? And when you come to the cinema, you have the decoration, you have the food that matches. You can, when there's a fire scene in the movie, you can put like red lights everywhere. It does kind of elevate that experience. And the last thing we did actually was we pivoted with Lazada. So we actually did a partnership where we made one of our clubs into a live streaming studio. So they basically live stream that pretty much every day, which has also been really great. So I think all these things, coupled with the job support scheme and the help from the government and also the landlord, has allowed us to kind of keep afloat during this time.